Hey, welcome to the Remote Play Podcast. You're here listening to Ep005. I'm Mark, that's Evan. We're your co hosts. We think we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking a little bit about Unity pricing changes and the backlash they're getting from devs, the Sony State of Play event for PlayStation, and the latest Nintendo Direct. You'll also get a little bit about what we've been playing lately and maybe a couple of reviews. But first, I want to open up by asking Evan a question. Hey, what do you think about gaming companies doing their direct announcements via live stream and pre-recorded videos instead of at the traditional gaming convention or expo like an E3 or a Gamescom? Those still kind of exist, but do you think they may start to go extinct as this digital only format goes forward? You want to take a thought about that and then we'll jump over to the title?
Sounds great.
All right, and we are back. Evan, you had a second there to think about the question. What's your gut reaction on this?
So I think Jeff Keighley has done a great job with the Game Awards has been really like the start of his large platform. Plus he's
Mhm.
got Gamescom. Plus he's got now the Summer Games Fest.
Yep.
And I think he's doing it differently than the way E3 did it. E3 like started at this as this expo that had a hard time transitioning into the internet era. They opened it
Mhm.
up to the public and everything at some point to try to bring in those hosts, and it was like kind of great there for the first. Uh, I think there's a place to have those recorded things, and then for a while they were getting the recorded shows in the E3 slot, right? Like
Right.
maybe there wasn't the E3 presentation, but you would have a Nintendo Direct in an E3 slot, and then they would be at the floor at the expo. At the expo,
Right.
I don't think. I mean, the Nintendo Direct format is just. I mean, it's perfection. I think a way to deliver, deliver updates and news and announcements and everything for your platform. And you've seen State of Sony, go that way. Xbox is now like trying to this out and everything. They're trying to basically mimic that, and it works great for the platforms. Maybe I think the third party publishers could use the expos a little more because they don't have quite that platform that everybody's going to have their eyes on. There's a little more narrow audience. I don't think everybody tunes into those third party platform directs as much.
Right.
But
And do you think that well, Nintendo was kind of the first one to start this like a few years ago. They were just like, "Nah, we're not showing up to any of this. We're just going to do a video." And that was kind of like mind-blowing at the time. Like that doesn't seem like a smart idea, but now they've kind of started that wave, right? And again, the Sony State of Play and so on, and get Summer Games Fest and all these pre-recorded things, or at least live streaming. Um, yes, we're definitely in like a hybrid mode. I feel like where it's a little bit of both. But so your opinion then is it's going to stay that way. We're not going to lose these live events like in person, but there'll be a balance of both digital and in person.
yeah, I think the live events are going to continue to evolve, but the Gamescom was back this year, like that, and actually, I feel like it's back more than ever. I don't know that games like I've never been that attentive to a Gamescom as I was this year, and uh, the Summer Games Fest I think was mediocre, but
Hmm.
I think at least Kaylee will continue to evolve his delivery of these types of these events, and we'll see. I mean, E3 said they're coming back in I think 2025. I I don't see E3 coming back. Maybe somebody else gives it a go and tries to
Hmm.
compete with Keeley there, but I just think we'll see an evolution and it'll look different, obviously than it did previously, and even than it does today. But there's no way these recorded presentations are going away.
Yeah, I think, man, it's tough. I think the in-person events are maybe going to go away. I think they were very necessary before because how do you get the games into the hands of the people, show them off, build excitement? But now you're in the internet era with pretty high internet speeds relatively everywhere, right? Not everybody has it, but demos can just be pushed today. It's like, hey, we did
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct. By the way, these 3 game demos available now. Play them. And oh, these 2 titles we announced also available now. Just go ahead and buy them and play. And it's that instant gratification, that instant feedback And I think there's a lot of value in that, and they don't have to have all the overhead of attending a show and a deadline. Nintendo does what they want at their pace, or Sony State of Play, whoever does it, they set the bar and when to hit it. And I think there's a lot of value for that, for them. And it still gets the customer and the consumer involved as well, just in a different way. So I differ a little bit. I think we're going to go more digital, and you'll see maybe 1-2 events max over the next couple of years in person. So hey, that's our cold open, our question of the day. And if you have differing thoughts on this, be sure to jump into the comments and let us know what you think. Is this going to be a digital only world moving forward, or will we have these in-person events still? And while you're at it, it would really help us out if you gave us a like and a subscribe. And if you really like this content and want to see more, go ahead and hit those buttons. Hey, let's jump over to our first main topic for today, and I believe that's going to be what we've been playing lately. So Evan, I think we want to jump over to you with an Edith Finch review.
Yeah, first off, I can't stop playing Starfield. So what we've been playing, Starfield. I've been playing I'm pushing 60 hours now, and I've changed my my thoughts on it.
Yeah, so we're cheating a little bit, right? So we've mainly been playing Starfield. I've been working a bit extra, but Starfield's it. But we've played these games and we've had these reviews we want to get out.
Yeah,
so
I did.
Yep,
I wrapped up Edith Finch a little, recently. I mean, really not too long before the Starfield release. But yeah, I'm gonna go through that. We discussed a little bit last time. Our game review format. I'm covering all the topics as far as what we want to do in our game reviews. But I tried scripting this out a little bit, so I'm going to try this out and see how it goes. But
sure.
Yeah. So, What Remains of Edith Finch is a first-person narrative developed by Giant Sparrow and published by Annapurna Interactive. In this game, you play as a 17-year-old girl named Edie that has recently lost her last remaining family member from a sprawling family tree of unique and eccentric relatives that met an all too early end. As an effort to protect Edie and her brothers from the superstitions of a family curse, her mother, Dawn, never let them learn about the wild stories of how the family passed away and even bolted half the door shut to the untouched rooms of the dead relatives in a house originally built by her great grandfather with tacked on additions as the family grew. After her mother's death, Edie returned to the old family home to seek answers to the questions of her family's past. Edie discovers an intricate system of hidden passages and secret doors to navigate the closed off rooms of the house. The game really hits its stride as you explore these rooms, delivering the story of each relative's death in its own unique format. A couple of my favorite examples were a horror-like comic narrated by an old dude with a creepy voice from something like Goosebumps TV show back in the 90s. And another where this guy works in a super dull job in a salmon cannery that progressively builds where he progressively builds his own imaginary world to kill time. You go through about a dozen of these bizarre stories told in a bizarre way. My one major aversion with this game was when you did anything with your hands, such as turn a handle, lift a sliding door, open a cabinet. You had to literally move the hand with these terrible joystick controls instead of just hitting an action button. But yeah, the game brings a suspenseful tone that I really expected to lean a little more into the horror than it did. Horror isn't something I'm necessarily looking for, so that was fine. Honestly, it gave me a feeling that I got as a kid watching shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps, as I mentioned. So I think eerie is probably the best word to describe it. It's a super short game, took about 2 hours, but overall, I loved some of the stories and the way they were told, and didn't care for others. But as a whole, I think it was a really interesting way to deliver the overarching story of a girl trying to discover the past to her unconventional family. As for my ranking, I'd probably put this in a B as a B tier indie game that's short enough and interesting enough to absolutely recommend to anyone that likes these story-driven games and the likes of like Life is Strange or Firewatch, and are looking for something maybe a little spooky or a little gray to play on a cold, rainy day. It retails at like $20, but at this point, you can pretty much find it for $5 or less on these any storefront, console, PC, or iOS.
Cool, awesome. And is there any type of sequel plan for this game, or is it pretty much closed off? It's done, or?
I mean, it doesn't really lend itself to a sequel.
Gotcha. Okay.
They could maybe find a way to do it. Like it doesn't completely close that end, but pretty much.
Yeah. So a good little indie hit then for a couple hours of gameplay then, yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. And I guess I'll jump over and I'll dive into my Ghost of Tsushima review. Say that 5 times fast. So Ghost of Tsushima is a open world action adventure and role playing game from 2020. Sucker Punch developed this game, and Sony Interactive Entertainment published it. It was on PS4. They came back, brought it out on the PS5. Pricing wise, this game's going to run you either $60 or $70 depending on the version you get, but it's also on PS Plus, which is where I played it at on there. So the story is this really cool story where he plays this samurai named Jin Sakai, and he's on a quest to protect Tsushima Island from the Mongols during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. So, as a part of the story, the player has to struggle between the teaching of honor that they grew up with versus winning at all costs, whether it's stealth, brutality, fear, just the complete opposite of what it means to be a samurai. And so the story goes from there. The music and audio is incredible in this game. There are very striking pieces in the music. And sometimes it's even just silence where the music cuts out to give you those very tense and serious moments, especially in like a standoff where you're gonna, you're kind of like standing off with someone and then you have to do a timing button press to slice them before they get you. And the game can also be played in English or Japanese, audio track with or without subtitles. So I thought that was a really cool addition. I played it in Japanese with English subtitles. Just kind of immersed me more in that world. Graphically, the game is on PS5 just visually stunning. The art direction is gorgeous. There's beautiful colors. It's very simple and elegant, but effective. The camera is very tight and zoomed in on the action. The HUD is super minimal. There's no arrow pointing you where to go. They have this really cool design where the spirit of your dad in the game is bringing itself into the world through the wind. So you'll see wind blow as he guides you to where you should go next. And so it just really feels like part of that world where the grass or the leaves are blowing. You're like, oh, that's where I go. It's just the very natural instead of like a big yellow arrow pointing where to go, right? Like most other games do. Gameplay loop wise, the general loop is you're fighting Mongol invaders, right? So you're going to level up, you're going to obtain new skills and fighting styles, and you need to recruit allies to go to war against the Mongols and progress the story and save the island ultimately. You'll use different stances and fighting styles against different enemies, so that's kind of a cool part of the gameplay. So if you're gonna like a shield guy comes up to you, you're gonna switch to like water stance or whatever, and so you'll have more powerful or more elegant stances. In terms of the game feel, the game really makes you feel like a samurai. It also does a fantastic job with the level up, so you're not just getting points and like, oh, I do 10x more damage or I take less damage. Like you actually get these points and you unlock new techniques or gadgets. So like you have the water stance, but then you add a move to it or a combo. And so before you could do, and now you are do, a 3-hit combo. And so it just really makes you feel like you're leveling up as a samurai. And the game also just lets you play the way you want to. So once you get to a certain point, you can do stealth, ranged, or melee, and just accomplish how you want. So that's cool. And time to beat this game's probably going to run you 20 plus hours. I played about 25 and did the main story and maybe like 70% of the overall content, not counting the like add-on DLC thing. So it's a bite-sized open world game, I would say, compared to something like a Starfield or whatever. It's gonna be like hundreds of hours. But anecdotal positive negatives that I have were I love that the game had a Kurosawa mode, so like the old Kurosawa like samurai films. So it would be in black and white. You can play this game entirely in black and white if you wanted to. So it's just a cool add-on. And I also really appreciated that there was a no blood mode. So like if my kids woke up from nap and walked in, they weren't walking into me like chopping people up like with blood all over the place and stuff. So I could toggle that on and off freely, which was pretty cool. The only negative I had was like there's a online component to the game and it doesn't explain that well, and it's immersed into the world. So it's just like one of the people you talk to kind of just like, hey, are you ready to do this challenge? And you're like, yeah. It's like loading online. And it's like, okay, well, I just thought it was an in-game single player challenge. It wasn't very clear to me that this is going to go into online mode. And this guy you talk to is in like every city or village, right? So it was just kind of off-putting. But overall, excellent combat in this game, amazing story, beautiful visuals. Tier rating for me, I would put this in an A tier. I wouldn't put in S tier because I think that's reserved for like some of those GOAT type things. There's definitely more they could do with this style of game, I think, and improve on it in little ways, I'm sure. but definitely a very, very high A tier game. And I would definitely recommend it if you have PS Plus. I don't know if I'd rush out to pay $70 for it, but if it was free on PS Plus, definitely download it and play it if you're into role playing action adventure or even samurai type stuff. It's pretty cool.
Sounds pretty awesome. So this got like a low 80s in Metacritic or whatever originally. So I mean, is there? Or do you think there are any polish issues, or what do you think? Because I mean, honestly, it seems like this is remembered at least way more fondly than the original rating that it got, and it gets a lot of praise now.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on like why that might have been, or maybe not? Right?
Yeah, that's a super good question. So maybe because it was reviewed on PS4 at the time, it wasn't a PS5 launch title, I think.
Yeah, maybe it was chugging along a little bit. Maybe it really
Yeah.
pushed the limits of the PS4. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and then brought that back. The other thing I noticed about this game that really made me appreciate the power of the PS5, the load times are instant. If you fast travel, it just blinks and you're there. It's really incredible. Going from something like, no offense to the Switch, but like a load time on Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or something being X amount of seconds or half a minute, and then literally you open the map, fast travel, boom, there it just loads.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, can't wait for that Switch 2 to do that, right?
Yeah, you need that memory bandwidth. So that was my Ghost of Tsushima review. I think we said the only other thing we've been playing is Starfield.
Yeah, do you have any other comments on Starfield?
Man, I'm just getting deeper and deeper into the Crimson Fleet quest line. I know you're probably way past that right now because you've been playing way more than me.
I just started the Crimson Fleet.
Oh, okay, cool. So you did the Ryuju Industries or whatever. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. So I'm pretty far in the main quest.
Okay.
And I got to the point where I had to get a larger ship, or basically a ship with a larger, I think, grav drive, something that could jump further. 21 yeah. And I don't want to just like buy incremental upgrades on a ship. I'm just like, all right, I want to get like the next ship. I want it to go as far as I need it to go, and I want it to have as much cargo as I need.
Yeah, you're like you're gonna buy the best and future proof yourself, right? Yeah.
Yep. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go get a job. And so I was like, I bet Corpo, going Corpo is gonna get me some big money. I just happened to run into Region and Neon, and then they're like, hey, we're hiring, and I was like, oh, I could go for that steady paycheck, and so I got to the executive level. It was a great quest line, and then now I'm doing some Galbank, just kind of one-offs or whatever. The guy that went into Galbank in New Atlantis, and he's just like, hey, we pay a lot of money, and I was like, you're my guy.
You're like, I got a ship I gotta buy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm really close to getting a ship that I want. There's some awesome ones that hit like 400,000 unit credits or whatever.
It's nuts.
But I'm like, all right, I found a good one that's around 250,000, 270,000, and I'm really close to that. So I was like, I'm going for that, and it's gonna give me everything I'm looking for, I think. So, and then cool. I might just upgrade it from there if I want to do more.
So I went the opposite. Like I upgraded mine and give it a bigger grav drive and stuff versus like going out and buying an off the shelf one. And then I also was doing a quest line where I got a free ship. I was escaping somewhere and I had to use a different ship, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this ship's yours now. I'm like, wait, what? You can do that?
Yeah, I've heard those are out there.
Yeah, and it's kind of like bare bones, but but it's mine now. It's mine. So
awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to diving into this more. So hey, why don't we jump over to Unity price changes and the implications of that, and why indie devs are furious about what's going on here. And do you want to just give us a really quick rundown on what's going on with this?
Yeah, so Unity announced the other day that they're going to start charging 20 cents per install of a game that uses the Unity engine.
Right.
And that was kind of the announcement at first. And then there was a ton of backlash. And then the CEO, which is, I think, a former like EA CEO.
Former CEO of EA. When they were terrible.
Also had a bunch of terrible problems with that gave EA the terrible reputation that they've been clawing to recover from.
Mm-hmm.
But so he comes back out and was like, no, it's only going to be games that have hit over 200,000 in revenue and 200,000 installs or whatever. But that's still there's a lot of free to play games or really cheap games like Among Us, right? That is cheap or free, or it's free on Game Pass, and And they're saying that like they just keep kind of moving the goalpost a little bit just to
Yep.
try to like save face. It sounds like saying, oh no, if it's on a subscription service, then the platform holder is going to pay. And it's just like, did anybody tell Microsoft or Nintendo or
Yeah.
PlayStation this? And now they're even saying, I think the last update I saw is like that they're just trying to push it on the platform holder as a whole. And it's just like, yeah, good luck telling Microsoft that, sending Microsoft that bill, right?
Yeah.
Like, and now it's just like, even you kind of expect them to back out, right? But
Yeah.
but it's almost too late for
The
the reputation,
damage is
right?
probably done, right?
And yeah, and so I mean, there's some indie devs and stuff that are really coming out with some like fury and some really big like changes that they're gonna have to make, right? Like, you want to talk about some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just go over some games that use Unity first, then we'll talk about some of the backlash too. So I just did a quick Google, even though I know some of these games already, but I'll give you some highlights here. So Fall Guys, huge install base, right? I don't know how much is played right now. Pokemon Go, Rust, Hearthstone, Ori and the Blind Forest, Among Us, you already mentioned, Call of Duty Mobile, Firewatch, Escape from Tarkov, Subnautica, City Skylines. Like, I can go on and
Pokemon
on.
Brilliant Pearl and Diamond, or what?
Yeah,
Shining Pearl and
yeah,
Brilliant
one of the
Diamond.
Pokemon games. I think Beat Saber, Hollow Knight. That brings into big questions because Silksong is not out yet, and are they still using Unity? I mean, this is serious stuff, guys. When you already have a game out now, to be clear, they're not going to pay for previous ones, but I think it's as of 2024, like Jan 1, boom. Anything beyond that, they're paying per install. And I think they came back and said, somebody can't install over and over, like uninstall, reinstall just to run the bill up on a developer. But I think it's going to be by hardware. So if I installed it on this PC, then I installed it on my Steam Deck, then I installed it on yada yada or laptop, whatever, then each of those counts. And that's going to be huge cost to indie devs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no clarification on how they're getting these numbers or anything. And it's just
Yeah.
like it's a real shady, real like
Money grubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you've got like the was it Intersoft? Is that the developer of or is that's maybe Among Us? Whoever the developer of Call to the Lamb came out and said, if this doesn't change, you better buy the game now, because as of January 1st, I'm deleting the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy, right? That was the first big post where they said, all right, screw you, Unity. We'll just delete our game. We don't care. We've already made our money. The people that want it have it. And if anybody else wants to buy, I wouldn't be surprised if they put it on sale on Christmas for a week. Here, have it for a penny. Everybody gets this game. Screw Unity.
Right. Yeah, it's so Unity was like the indie engine there for a really long time, right? Unreal was so hard to like develop for, and now it's like Unreal has become even easier to develop for, and they've really made a lot of effort to make it easy to develop for Unreal and give you a lot of tools and more accessible as far as cost and everything. And there's, I think, Godot is
Godot engine
that's up and coming.
Yeah.
It's just like, you'd think this would be like the worst time to try to like just screw people over, because there are other options. There's more better options for indie developers than there's ever been.
Yeah, this totally screams suit move, right? Like executive move, thinking money first, not thinking long term, like just looking at like a spreadsheet and be like, how can we get more money? Let's serve one less olive with every martini type of deal. Okay, well, we have X amount of games. What if we charge them 20 cents per install? I'll make $5 billion and I'll get my big bonus. Like, screw everybody else.
I'll make $5 billion and the dev will never notice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is crazy. And to speak to the Game Pass thing you brought up, like, what if a game's on Game Pass? Like, let's imagine Starfield was made in Unity, just and the sheer install base of this, millions of copies. And they're saying, all right, well, if it's on there, then the publisher or owner of that platform pays for it. So you're going to go tell, as you said before, you're going to go tell Microsoft, all right, here's, by the way, you had X amount of installs. By the way, here's a, $10 million bill. You can pay us within the next 30 days. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, like I hate to say it, and I don't support it, but it's like, you'd almost have been better off just saying, "Yep, like, sorry, indie dev, like, it's on you," because I mean, you're poking the bear, man. You're poking the giants, right? Like
yeah.
Microsoft, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was a big mistake, right? Trying to screw over the indie devs was a power move, I feel like.
And probably Apple too, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, Apple Arcade and stuff. Yeah. Totally. And so
Yeah,
to
go on.
go mess with these titans, pushing the indie devs is one thing. Totally disgusting.
Which is
And
worse, right? But
yeah,
it's like you
but to have
could
the
get away with. Unfortunately, the
audacity,
reality is,
yeah, the audacity
yeah.
to go after these big companies and think you're not going to get squished. I think they just shot themselves in the foot. They're probably going to walk this back and the damage is done. Nobody's going to want to use Unity because they're going to change these terms of service and remove plans. They removed one of the plans before this announcement and then just change it out of nowhere and you're screwed. And
Yeah.
you can't trust them. You can't.
Yep. Yeah. Even if they go back, the trust is lost there. They have no faith. I mean, maybe if they can the CEO and just, but they've got a big hole to dig themselves out of at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, listeners, what do you guys think about these price changes from Unity? Is it fair, unfair? Let us know in the comment section down below. And with that down, let's jump over to our next main topic, the Sony State of Play event. Evan, I know you don't own a PS5 right now. I think it's on your list in the future. You'd like to play some of these games. So maybe do you want to run this down and toss them over to me and we'll go through this State of Play event and whether we think it was good or bad?
Yeah, I will just kind of list some things off and kind of take a look at you, like if you have anything to say about them, because there's a handful of things here, and if you're not interested, then I don't want to waste a bunch of time on it.
Sure.
So we first got Baby Steps is a different kind of adventure game.
By different, it's very different. It reminded me of Getting Over It. If anybody's played that on PC, where you're like that little guy with a pickaxe and you gotta like manipulate yourself over like all these obstacles, which was like kind of a cool game. But this one was like very raunchy, unnecessarily, a lot of F-bombs dropped, and I was just like, what? This is how you're starting your State of Play? That was my thought on this game, and that's it.
Yeah, real awkward. It looked like a literal walking simulator.
Yes.
Ghost. So we got some VR stuff with Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord.
Yeah, that's I don't know what you thought about this one. I mean, it looked fun, but they're hurting hard for PSVR 2 titles. This was expensive piece of equipment. They basically had the Horizon thing that came with it and a couple other games, but they don't have much, so they need more. And this just feels like a title that they can put out there, and it looks like a cool little thing. But you got to have that expensive equipment first. So
yeah, and Resident Evil 4 might be the one to convince you to get it, right?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I would crap my pants playing this in VR. I don't know if I want to. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, but man,
yeah, that's true.
Nuts. Like, what did you think looking at this?
Yeah, it looked awesome. I mean, it looks. I've got to jump in RE4 first off and just see if it's my kind of game. But obviously, like I don't have a PS, so this is a massive investment for me to even think about it. But it looked. I looked at it looked incredible. Whether it's for me or not, I didn't think too much for it.
Yeah, and they also had along with this announcement, they kind of announced an expansion for the RE4 remake and the mercenary mode that everybody loved from the original game, which I was really excited about. I've mentioned it on the podcast before, so
just
that's super cool.
To jump in.
Same. Yeah. So I haven't played RE4 remake yet. It's been a loaded year, but it'd be like early next year. I think I'll look for a sale on what's going on.
Yeah, so next up is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and that one I'm gonna say real quick, like that. I love the Avatar universe. I mean, call me basic, whatever. But I know it's good. It gets its criticisms or whatever. But like, I have this hope in me. It's not. I don't have high hopes, but I do have this hope in me that Ubisoft is kind of finally making their turnaround and kind of getting back to some of the good titles and some variety, a little bit unique gameplay, kind of fixing the formula, as you will, because they have been like the picture of like this just formulaic open world RPG that is old and stale.
You'll look at a game and be like, yep, looks like an Ubisoft game. Like you can tell, right? And this one looks a little different, to your point. I'm not an Avatar fan at all. Like I've watched the movies. They're fine for what they are, but I'm not head over heels like everybody else for this. But this game looks cool. It looked kind of like it kind of had a little bit of survival elements because I saw them like cooking food and stuff. So I don't know if that was flavor text or flavor gameplay to get you immersed in the world, but overall, this thing looks great. It would look great on an HDR, nice TV. Yeah. Is the gameplay going to be good? We'll find out. But definitely jump on and check this one out, I think.
Yeah. Next, Ghost Runner 2 got a new trailer. Did you play the first one?
I didn't. Did you play the first one?
Okay. I did not.
I'm
This looked sick.
I'm highly interested. I'm definitely into that cyberpunk type scene. That's the vibe I got from watching this trailer, as well as the original Ghost Runner. It's on my. Is it on PS Plus? I think maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you're a listener, let us know in the comments if it's on PS Plus or if you've played it and what your thoughts are on it. But Ghost Runner,
come to the Discord and talk about it.
yeah, the shameless plug for the Discord. Yeah, I want to try and play Ghost Runner 1 before I jump into this, but this looks sweet.
Yeah, and then Helldivers 2 was after Ghost Runner, and we played a little bit of the first one.
Yeah, and this looks awesome. It looks super, super awesome. The vibes I got from this were like, at least from this trailer, was multiplayer focused, right? And they had the little voiceover of the people playing, and they're getting their butts kicked and all that stuff. And then they had the heroic moment and win, which is a little generic, but the game looked cool, right? So they showed the multiplayer third-person shooter. You're fighting these alien bugs, much like Starship Troopers on a planet. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it looks sweet. I'm looking forward to this. I think Sony needs to put this on the PS Plus subscription service. It'd be a heavy hitter for them.
Yep, that would be a helpful justification of that price increase, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is PC as well, right? The first one was if it's crossplay, we might have to jump into that.
Yeah, that could be good.
The next one was just another look at Spider-Man 2 that they brought. They showed off like that they have over 60 new suits, and I'm not big on cosmetics, but some of those suits look pretty sick, right?
Yeah, they were pretty cool. So don't quote me, but the first one I would say maybe had like 15 or 20 suits, and the Miles Morales one maybe had a dozen for him or something. And there are pre-order suits. I know we were talking about this before the show, so not all of these are like microtransaction DLC. You can pre-order, get some extra special suits, but I always thought that the suits you earned in game were so much better. So you earn them through certain story events, getting them enough points to like unlock it, or like some type of challenge or event. Oh, you beat the challenge with Kraven or something. You beat the challenge with Mysterio, so you get this suit. That type of thing. Yeah. And yeah, the stuff they showed looks great. They focused on, they're adding those 2 boroughs to New York, which were missing in the previous games. So yeah, super excited, but a little worried that this is kind of all they're showing. This is just focusing on Spider-Man.
From first party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick on those spider suits, do they have any like gameplay like variants? Or is it just purely a cosmetic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 0.
Yeah, I was wondering because I saw some of them had like electrical like aura or whatever around them or something. I was just like, oh, like does that do something? But no, that's cool. They look super cool. I love the, like you said, the in-game earn it. Like it just feels like games that we played growing up because they're before the days of microtransactions. Really cool. Tales of Arise was next beyond the Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn DLC.
Have you played any Tales games at all?
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't. It's on my list to play, and the people that I know that have played them gush about them, and they really, I mean, there's different tiers of how good they are, the Tales games, but I heard good things in general, and on my backlog list to check out one of these. So keep my eye on Tales of Arise and this DLC and see if it's worth it.
Yeah, and then finally, we had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second part of the 3-part remake of Final Fantasy VII. I've never played any Final Fantasy VII, but man, this looks stunning.
It looked incredible. They showed so many clips from throughout the game and the story, and I know they've changed some things, including in the other one that they did, the interlude one or whatever the title is, part 1. But yeah, I was blown away by this. Looks awesome. Got a February 2024 date, and then I think a combo pack as well for the other Final Fantasy VII Part 1, and then this.
Yeah, no. So I mean, we kind of had some good things to say about the state of the games that were there, but there was like very few games, especially compared to what we're going to be talking about next. What do you and what one first party game that was there?
Yeah. There was 9. I think I counted 9 total things. I mean, that's what are we doing, Sony? Like seriously,
this feels like Xbox's 2022. To be honest,
that's an insult, but that's a good point.
It's not getting nearly the flack because they have Spider-Man, right? Like Xbox had Psychonauts and Pentiment,
right?
But I Yeah, I don't know. And then we don't really have, at least like, so like we had Starfield to look forward to. Redfall was talked about. Obviously, we know how that went. But
Mm-hmm.
coming out of 2022, we're like, all right, but we got Starfield coming. And I mean, we have, I guess, Wolverine coming, but we also, there was like, talks about Fable. There's a lot of games that we knew were coming down the pipe, We don't know anything beyond Wolverine.
Yeah.
So Insomniac's coming out with a game in October, and then the only other game we know about is also Insomniac.
Well, we do know.
It's like what?
There is the one other game. Man, do you know the
Foam Stars, right? No,
yes, Foams. That's hilarious. Yeah. So that's. I don't know what they're doing, right? Because I really have to question Sony at this point. You're releasing the PlayStation Portal, their new PSP, and there's a lot of questions around that and its capabilities, and if they're just trying to do a Me Too thing where they're throwing, hey, we have a mobile device as well, just like the other guys. The PlayStation Plus price increases really bad, 33% or more price increases there. Like, you're not putting out games to justify this increase, and you're not putting out games to justify an expensive PSVR 2 headset or this PlayStation Portal. Granted, not expensive. I think the price is fine at $200. It could be doing more on the hardware itself, but what are your thoughts here on where Sony's at? And I think the way you put it is Xbox is 2022. These guys are on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, and it's wild. So it's like that barren year that like say Xbox had last year, but like at the same time in that same year, they have found three ways to just take more money from you. So not only are they not like showing you what's coming next, but like you just said, they had the PSVR came out this year, the PlayStation Portal,
Yep.
and the PS Plus subscription price increases. And it's like, how are you going to take more of my money when you got nothing for me to play coming down the pipe?
Right.
The PSVR, it's got a couple, the Direct had or the State of Play today had a couple of cool looking games or whatever, but like there's hardly any incentive looking at this game or at this unit to purchase this. Like, why would I spend this much on this hardware on top of the already $500, $400, $500 that have given the consumer's given you for the PlayStation that you have to go with it? I don't know, man. It feels like maybe they've gotten too cocky, but and maybe they kind of got lost there. I know they had like 11 games as a service games or some wild number of games as a service games, in development at some point, and like maybe that's like we're seeing at a time that we've seen a backlash over the last like 12 months or so, where a lot of these games as a service are shutting down, things are getting delayed, poorly. Like I think fans are finally starting to like, dude, enough is enough. Like we can handle a few of these, but like every game that comes out can't be some games of service. You don't have an unlimited amount of money from these gamers, right?
And time, right? And time.
Yeah.
Time is money, right? So I think they doubled down in the wrong direction, dude. I think you're 100% right. This games as a service thing was the wave for a bit, and there's still going to be things that come through as games as a service and are good. There are good games that are games as a service. It may not be for everyone, but there are good games. But they doubled down. They bought Bungie, and they had Bungie come through and look at all these different projects and give the thumbs up or thumbs down on them. And I think that's part of the reason that this, from Naughty Dog, this Last of Us multiplayer thing was kind of canned or pushed away, and they're moving on to something else. So, I think it might have been a mistake, and I think they're going to be hurting here for a little bit because it takes a while to put these games as service games together, and they're not launching anything. Like they're on this gap, right? So they're going to launch Spider-Man, they're going to do Final Fantasy VII, and then what else is going on?
Yeah, we're getting maybe some remasters and GOTY type of or ultimate versions of like I think Forbidden West is supposed to get an ultimate version, things like that.
Right.
But, and that's only that's not announced, right? So I thought after their showcase in May, and then we came and the Xbox showcase was like really good. And I had this like bad feeling. I was like, oh man, they're gonna give like Xbox's good grace. Like, oh man, Xbox finally showed up and finally like showed something that had a better showing than PlayStation for once in like a decade, what feels like a forever, a generation. And I was just like, I as an Xbox, owner and not a PlayStation owner and a little bit of an Xbox fan, I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of wondering if Sony comes out when Starfield, in September when Starfield releases, and they're like, okay, yeah, you have Starfield, boom, drops a bunch of announcements. Then now get excited about this next God of War, the next Uncharted game, like boom, 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 and it's just like, oh yeah, forget about Starfield, look at Sony again, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, that was like the perfect timing, right? And I
Yeah,
also expected to see something like them come out swinging just to counteract that Starfield launch. That's been fantastic, and it just didn't happen.
yep.
All right, do we want to jump over to our next topic, the Nintendo Direct and all the announcements they had on that? It was pretty jam-packed, but what does it mean for the future of Nintendo and their next console? And I think we'll
Yeah.
just run down through these. I think I'll give you kind of the list and we'll pitch our thoughts back and forth. Is that cool?
Yeah. Just want to kind of go through some rapid fire, and I'll stop you at like a couple that I want to talk about.
Yeah, sure.
And then you can stop it.
Yeah, of course. Right off the rip, we had the Splatoon Wave 2 expansion coming out in spring of 24. Then we had Mario versus Donkey Kong. This one looked really exciting. What were your thoughts on this one?
So I loved the Donkey Kong game, like on Game Boy back in the day. There's also like Bugs Bunny, Crazy Castle. I think was like another game that was on the Game Boy that had a very similar play style. I like this like puzzly Mario type game where it's just like there's a little bit of platforming and a little bit of you're kind of taking on Donkey Kong, but like I love that. This is a more interesting Mario game to me. I mean, Mario Wonder looks cool, but like this is more of my type of game. And my son had the same reaction when he watched the direct today too. He was just like, "Oh, that looks cool, Dad." And I was like, "Sure does, buddy." So I will be jumping on this, man. I'm excited about this. As long as it's not like $70. But if it's 60, I might have to wait for it to drop. They get the $40 sales or something like that because I got plenty to play right now. But I am very excited about this.
Right, and to be clear, this is a remake of the Game Boy Advance one, right? So this original title
is it a remake?
Yeah, came out on the Game Boy Advance. I played it there. Very puzzly. If nobody's ever played it, you go through the levels and hit different switches and things like that to make platforms appear, disappear, yada yada, and you solve the levels that way. So it's Mario-esque, but with more puzzle nature, and you're going against Donkey Kong, which is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, remake and remaster. Seems like it's going to be a pretty common theme here.
Yeah, definitely. It's direct. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, not a remake or remaster, coming out January 18th, 2024. What'd you think of this one?
Looks like a cool Metroidvania, man. I think this is the same one we saw at Summer Game Fest, right? And looks good.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. It reminded me a lot of like Ori, the Ori series. And graphically, it looks cool for a 2D side-scroller Metroidvania style, so we'll see how it does. Horizon Chase 2 is out today. That's an arcade-style racer. Super Crazy Rhythm Castle is coming out in November.
Yeah, that's a rhythm-based party game.
Okay. Spy X Anya Operation Memories coming out in 2024, and this is kind of a life simulator type game. I thought was interesting, but not for me. Heavy hitter, November 17th, Super Mario RPG. We already knew about this one, but we got a little more look into it here. What'd you think about this?
Yeah, I kind of got a little closer look at like what the combat looks like today, like or at least like it finally kind of like registered to me, especially after playing Sea of Stars and stuff, and kind of seeing some of that, right? Like I like some of that timing based. Sometimes especially when it's not necessary, it's just bonus, right? So you can play it without having to be timing based, because that's what JRPGs are often good for, or these turn based RPGs are good for, is like not having to do twitchy timing based moves at times. But I mean, I'm jumping on this at some point. Honestly, it looks really exciting. It's a game I definitely want to play. Some of these 2D HD turn-based RPGs that are coming are, I mean, I am a sucker for this 2D HD
for the art style.
This, I don't want to say resurgence, whatever. But this wave that we're getting of those games, because they suck me in. But I mean, I'm super excited for this, and I don't know if I'll get it day one, but I'll definitely looking to play this one.
Yeah. Plus,
are you getting this day one?
Man, maybe. Well,
November.
I'm still gonna be playing Starfield. I'm gonna have Spider-Man. I might have beaten Spider-Man by then. Maybe. Might be a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
It might be a Christmas thing.
Sure.
And Now you saw where Sea of Stars got their timing stuff from, because that was originally
Yeah,
on there.
that inspiration. That's cool.
Yeah. Next up, we had another code, Recollection. This is, I believe, a two-packer with remakes, or remake slash remaster of the point-and-click adventure that was originally on the DS. And this has kind of got this like Life is Strange type vibe.
Yep.
What'd you think of this? Anything special on this one?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So this is one, like, I mean, these games are, I guess, my guilty pleasure, right? Like I just talked about Edith Finch, right? That story driven narrative game.
Mm-hmm.
It typically takes place, like, I don't know why, but like it's usually like a teenage girl, which is, but like I mean, not me, but like it's, but yeah, we just mentioned Life is Strange, Edith Finch, right? So in this game, not always, but like Firewatch was not, but no, I'm actually, this is one I think, I don't know if, I didn't look at what the price was for this, but this is definitely one I'm interested in and will want to jump on at a decent price.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see how they do this, because if I remember right, this was on the DS, as I mentioned, and the puzzles required two screens. Some of the puzzles required two screens.
I do like the puzzles too. Oh yeah.
So how are they going to put that on here? Do they cut puzzles out? Do they change them entirely? I don't know.
They've had a handful of ports for the 3DS, and that's, or the DS or whatever, the consoles. But that's a good point. I'm sure they'll figure something out. Maybe they just do side by side screens, right?
Yeah.
But
you could do that. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You just put the screen on the left and on the right, and then you kind of emulate that, right? Having the two screens.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, give me some puzzles. I wish it came out more like in the fall. I mean, the fall. This fall is loaded, but like that to me feels like a cozy fall game. I love like cozy games, peaceful games in the fall, right?
Yeah. Okay, next big one. This is a new one here. Princess Peach Showtime. We got to see our actual gameplay of this. So coming out March 22nd next year. What'd you think of Princess Peach Showtime?
Yeah, we got a little teaser, right? In the last direct, like in June or whatever, and it was just kind of like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be. Is this kind of just going to be like, another like, Yoshi type game, whatever, just a fun game to play with family. Looks like it will be a fun one to play with family. Another one that my son was really excited about. I'm also like, you're doing all kinds of different things, right? Peach, you got sword fighting Peach, you've got Detective Peach, you've got Ninja Peach, you've got all these different peaches, but no, this was a surprise for me. I didn't, I expected it to be a solid game, because Nintendo just puts out solid games, but like this is definitely better than I expected.
What were you thinking this game was going to be in general? Because I wasn't sure. So I had no idea that this was going to be like where you change the gameplay style. So for the listeners that may have not seen this trailer, basically you go to different areas and Peach changes into something else. So like you could be a kung fu person. Go ahead.
She's playing through acts of a play or something, right? Showtime. It's Showtime. And so that's an interesting setting to start off with, right? You're not going through some world. You're playing through like these acts of a play, which is kind of unique, cool, neat, interesting.
Right. Yeah. And so the gameplay style changes based on the act of the play, right? So you could be a detective one time, a kung fu master the next time, and so on. And so for me, like, it looked interesting. I was like, okay, this is a really cool concept, but is it going to be, not that I need a ton of depth from a Nintendo game, but is it just going to be an inch deep on each of these things? And will it feel really hand-holdy and in that Nintendo way, in the bad way Nintendo does, right? Sometimes they do great at that, and then sometimes it's like overly, let me hold your hand and show you to do this. Here's a little bit of kung fu. Okay, all right, on to the next thing. I don't want that. That's not for me, but I'm going to keep my eye on this one, and it could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after that, they showed off Saga Emerald Beyond. This is a sci-fi fantasy RPG coming out in 2024. Then they had the...
You ever played it?
No, I haven't. Go ahead. I haven't played any of those.
There was a bunch of these types of games that were talked about in the direct, and this was probably not the one for me.
Yeah, definitely. Next up was the OG Tomb Raider trilogy. So if you remember this back for the PlayStation, all the way back years ago, this is coming out now again in February of 2024. And I thought this was cool because it's got that cool thing where you can switch the graphics mode from the old to the new. and it looked like a very true recreation. It unlocked a lot of memories for me, like when I saw different, like the T-Rex, and then I saw the guy with the 6 arms and the swords, and all of a sudden I'm remembering this whole game, and the nostalgia hit me. Then I'm like, man, I need to play this game. What were your thoughts after seeing this trailer?
Yeah, I mean, I remember those being terrible games. So I was like, whatever, I thought that like the visual updates look pretty good. And I feel like they made Laura Croft look like from that time, Angelina Jolie. I mean, a stylized Angelina Jolie. But I mean, it looks like a probably decent remaster, remake, or whatever it is. But
Not for you.
not for me, man.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so then they showed off more Detective Pikachu, and that's coming out, I believe, in October. Thoughts on Detective Pikachu? Did you play the first one? Does this one grab you?
I didn't. I wanna like this game, and I want to be interested in this game. I just gotta see how the reviews are. There's, visually it's kind of terrible.
Yeah.
I saw one shadow. I think this is the first time I've seen a shadow in any one of these trailers.
Nice.
But,
Throw one in there
for
for our
Detective
boy.
Pikachu, right? But I don't know. It looked kind of neat, and I think my like again, I think my kid would enjoy this. My kids both, like I have a few kids now, but a couple of the kids that could pay attention to it would enjoy it. But we'll see. Too
Yeah.
many other games.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, okay. So I've seen the movie, and I enjoyed the movie for what it was, but I can't get behind the voices of the game after seeing the movie. And I know some people are opposite. They played the game and they're like, oh, I don't like these voices in the movie. But I haven't played the first game, and I'm much like you. Like, I want to like this game. I like Pokemon. I think this is a cool idea. Just when I see the trailer, just does not grab me. And yes, it looks terrible visually.
I will say when my son has, this is the first time he's seen any of this, and the moment Pikachu starts talking, he's like in this deep, raspy voice. He just busted up laughing. He's like, "What, Pikachu doesn't talk, especially like that?" Like he just thought it was so funny.
Yeah, he's supposed to do that cute Pika, right? Pika.
Right.
Cool. So after that is Trombone Champ, which is, I believe, was already out on PC before, but that's out today on the Switch with some cool Switch-only type features with the Joy-Con. What was your thoughts on Trombone Champ?
This looked hilarious. So I thought this, like, because it had like what looked like a me in the background, so I just assumed this was like one of those wacky Nintendo games that they throw out on occasion, right?
Like a Wii Sports,
and,
1-2 Switch or something.
Right. And I found out that, that they've had, this has been out on PC for a year. I was like, oh, I guess this is not a Nintendo game. I thought it looked hilarious. It looked like the, they had the two different control methods. One was just the gyro control or whatever, and then they had like one that like uses the IR sensor, and it's like looks like a theremin or whatever, But I don't know. This looks like it could be. I thought it looked like it could be some wacky fun. Knowing it's out on PC, I'm probably gonna look and see like how it's been received.
Yeah.
But I thought it looked like it could be really like it could be lame, but it could also be hilarious.
It could be like a hilarious party or family game, right? Especially if it's like in that $5 to $10 range.
Get the right you get the right group together and just have some laughs. Right?
Yeah, so like it's got 50 songs. You're moving the Joy-Con to try and hit the correct notes or the correct pitch and play through these songs. And you can play multiplayer at the same time, and you're all trying to do this, and it's just wacky, hilarious, musical fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Following this was Battle Crush coming out in spring 2024. It's like an arena battle royale fighting game. It looked like it didn't know what it wanted to be. To me, I wasn't totally interested. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of just like, I might need to see more. There's some things I was like, oh, this might be neat, but like overall, I'm just like, oh, dude, I don't know. I don't need another battle royale or what, But it wasn't just like your typical shooter battle royale. So I was just like, I don't know, maybe like the platforms like falling off as opposed to just the arena, like the barrier shrinking or whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of gave me like some of those games in Fusion Frenzy. There was like that one like where you're in the balls or whatever, and the arena drops off. That's what it made me think of.
Yeah,
but,
similar to Fall Guys has a couple modes like that too, with the floor falls out. Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, I just there's too many good games and stuff, and that's just too low tier. And I'll play indie games. I'll definitely try things out. This one's just not for me. War Tales out now. This one like caught my eye because of the theme. You don't always catch this on like a Switch or whatever, but this looks like a CRPG, a classic RPG, similar to Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, kind of that point-click turn-based fantasy setting. What'd you think when this one came up on the screen?
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was because I haven't played any of the Baldur's Gate games before, but I thought of Wasteland that we've played a little bit of, and I'm interested in this for sure. I want to see how it's like. Again, I'm gonna look and see what people think of it and stuff because this looks like this looks like my kind of game. I like a little of these RPGs. I thought it had a cool tone to it. It's something pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean.
I think you need to go play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Enhanced Edition then I think it's on the Switch. You could play on there.
Or Steam Deck.
Yeah, or Steam Deck.
Right?
Like if that's right up your alley, that's what this looked like. And Baldur's Gate 2 is considered one of the greatest games of all time, like in that top 50, top 100. So to me, it's like, okay, why would I play War Tales when I can play this one? Because I doubt War Tales is going to be one of the GOATs.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, I was wondering if maybe it's a shorter game, so it's like I can get the full experience.
Get that taste and see if you like it. Yeah. That's fair point.
Yeah, but and then it's like I have a hard time the thought of going and playing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, 1 or 2 when it's just like Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to the Xbox soon. It's like why would I play one of these older Baldur's?
You got to be like
going back and playing Witcher 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
I just like when Witcher 3 exists, it's hard to think that if Baldur's Gate 3 didn't exist, then
maybe a different story.
Old Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. So after this, they showed Contra Operation Galuga, and that's coming out in 2024. And this, my understanding is, this is a reimagining of the original game. So for all intents and purposes, this is pretty much Contra, just redone with some changes and stuff like that. So to describe you, you're a Contra fan, or?
I like Contra. I'm interested in Contra, but like, dude, those character animations. Have you play a game on your phone and you get those one games where it's like you pull the pin and the water drops or the treasure drops or the guy? Dude, those animations look like just that guy, right? Like I'm just like this looks like the cheapest little I don't know those animations.
The phone ads you get scrolling Instagram, right?
Awful. And maybe they were going for that, and I just kind of wasn't like it just didn't click for me right now, or maybe it will at some point. But because I'm a Contra fan. Some of the other stuff looked good. Like I thought some of the bosses and stuff looked good and things like that. So, this is. I mean, I like Contra. I like a good, just shmup.
Good challenge,
Yeah. And
so you'll look at it and check out the price next year. Maybe it's a thing you get.
Yeah, or I might just jump into one of the Contra collections. It just makes
it's like why would I get this? Is
right.
This feels good
unless people would come,
right?
Yeah, if this comes out and Contra fans are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, then I might jump on it. Right. But otherwise, it's like I could get a Contra collection and have a bunch of Contra games.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay, so this next one from Atlas looked pretty cool, and this is tactical RPG Unicorn Overlord. I'm not so sure about the name. Doesn't scream tactical RPG to me, but the trailer looked cool. What are your thoughts on Unicorn Overlord?
My thoughts are they threw something into a name generator, and this is what it puked out.
They asked ChatGPT.
Yeah, right. Give me the name of a game.
Yeah.
I don't know what that name is, but otherwise, I thought the game looked really cool. It's kind of some of these games, these like the Japanese. There's like the tactical RPGs. There's the sci-fi RPG. There was there were a few things that kind of blur together a little bit in my head. But no, this was one that I know specifically. I was looking at Vanillaware. I think has a pretty good reputation. Atlas obviously has a great reputation. I've kind of had this itch for a little while for a little tactical RPG or something. I don't want to dive into something as long as Fire Emblem. So maybe I don't know, maybe I do, but and I like the pixel art. Something about the pixel art just seems so accessible to me, and especially if I'm going to play in handheld and this style of game. This one and another one that's kind of similar. Down the road, I will be excited for.
Yeah, and this just to be clear to the audio only listeners that maybe didn't see the director of this specific trailer. There's no unicorns that we can tell in this. There's no pink and purple and rainbows. This looked very much like you said a Fire Emblem with the color palette of like a Octopath Traveler or something like that. That was kind of the vibe you're getting from this game. And then they call it Unicorn Overlord, which I think has to do with the story. But maybe you could have thought of a better name.
Sure.
So after that, they showed one we knew was coming in summer of 24, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So this is the kind of remaster of Luigi's Mansion. Have you played any Luigi's Mansion's games before, and does this interest you?
This is Dark Moon, right?
Yeah, yes.
So yeah, so I played a little bit of was it the old download play or whatever it was, like the that you could play where I didn't have to have a cartridge, somebody I could play from somebody else or whatever
Mm-hmm.
with you back in the 3DS a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little bit. It was I don't know, it was fine. If I'm gonna play Luigi's Mansion though, because I haven't played a bunch of these, I'm probably just gonna jump into Luigi's Mansion 3, which was really well received.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this would be a great game to play with Luigi's Mansion 3. It makes me want to play Luigi's Mansion 3. That's
Yeah.
what I'll say. Like, I was like, okay, this is definitely a good, especially in October. I'm like, it would be a great game to like jump into with my kid, and I think he would have a hoot playing this.
Yeah, definitely. I think you pick it up a little bit later on, maybe on the Nintendo the vouchers program. Pick that up, play
Yeah,
it
right.
in the fall of next year. But yeah, this was Dark Moon. So in other countries like Japan, this was just called Luigi's Mansion 2.
It's
This,
weird that it comes out in summer.
yeah, I don't know what the deal is. So it's
Yeah.
very weird. Maybe because of some console announcements we're gonna have coming up. We'll see. But I
Whoa.
played the first Luigi's Mansion. I wore the disc out on my GameCube. I love that game so much. It's very unique and cool. Just a way to get into this. Like I don't even know how to describe the genre. Like what is the genre?
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters genre. I don't know.
Ghostbuster. Yeah, yeah. Ghost vacuuming.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You
Like,
just vacuum up these ghosts, but it's really cool. There's some challenge to it, and number two is good as well. Really looking forward to this. I'll probably pick it up and probably in the fall, just like you. And then they took a break in the action here to go away from games, but over to Nintendo Museum. So I think they had announced this before, but they were giving an update on this. And this is in Kyoto, and they expect it to be ready in March 24. Is that right?
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds really fascinating. It's if I ever make my way to Kyoto,
Yeah.
be
So
sure to stop by.
yeah, if you're in Japan, right, like this will go onto your list of tourist things to do. Go to the Nintendo Museum, which I think is cool, right? Nintendo has a
Yeah.
huge history. They helped launch modern games as we know it, or in-home games, along with some other consoles and things like that. But I
Yeah.
mean, the NES was the defining kind of moment that propelled
I would
everything.
say I would say Nintendo is responsible for the most like crucial is the most crucial party for video games as they are today.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So then they jump back into games a little bit, games adjacent with Amiibo. So we got an update on the Zelda and Ganondorf Amiibos coming out. Then we got the Noah and Mio. I don't want to say it wrong.
From Xenoblade 3, right?
Yep, Xenoblade
Chronicles
3.
yeah.
Yep. And then also Sora from Kingdom Hearts, which was cool. I thought it was cool. Coming out
Yeah,
in 24.
that finishes up all of the Smash amiibo. Now there is an amiibo for every Smash character, which
Yo.
my goodness, that Sakurai is insane.
Yeah, he's insane. And
Like just looking at all those amiibo on a screen, it's just like he put so much time and development into each one of those characters. Like I don't know, something about seeing all those on the screen is just like wow.
yeah, it was
Wow.
insane. It was insane. And it is cool. I mean, Amiibo are very cool. I don't have a ton of them, but I have a few, especially the Zelda ones. And they're cool to use in the game, but also cool to have on your shelf or whatever. So awesome that they're rounding out that collection. We'll see what Sakurai is up to next and what he's going to play. I think he tweeted that he was playing Starfield or something, or like already beat
Yeah,
the
yeah,
main
he
story.
definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like 150 hours into it
Oh
because
my God.
he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything like lightly, right? Like,
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if it's 150 hours, but I would imagine he is just
He's all in.
fully deep
Yeah,
into
so maybe
it.
we'll
Yeah.
see Starfield inspiration in his next game. So then they jump back into
There we go.
games, and they come out with a cool one that was rumored / leaked in the past few days, but kind of out of nowhere for the general audience. F099 out today, and this is going back to their 99 format, like Tetris 99, the Battle Royale.
Mario 35.
Yeah, Battle Royale of these old games, which was kind of a cool mashup, right? So what did you think of F099?
Give it to me, man. I've never really played any F-Zero. So it'll be kind of cool to get see where it started kind of, but also be kind of put it in a modern multiplayer format kind of thing. I love Tetris 99 when that came out. I haven't played it in a long time, but I love Tetris. But no, I wanted to even honestly try this out today. So we're we're recording today is when the direct happened, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to jump into this, try it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Have you played F-Zero in the past?
Yeah, I've played F-Zero in the past, with some friends when I was younger, and it's cool. Like F-Zero's not my favorite racing thing ever. I'm not a huge racing guy. Like it's more like, hey, let's play a racing game together. I'm not going to go out and
Sure.
buy or download a racing game on my own to play usually. But F-Zero 99, perfect mashup. Like you said, bring the old in with the new concept, and hey, it's out today, so that's really cool.
Maybe we get a new one down the road, right?
Yeah, maybe they're testing the waters to see how many people go out. If you want a new
Right.
F-Zero, go out and play this. That way they know people are interested in
Yeah, hopefully
F-Zero.
they at least get 99.
Like, no, yeah, you're like in the queue and it's just 50 people. No, I'm sure plenty of people are trying that out. So
I'm sure.
next up, we had a pixel art crafting RPG, Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story. And this is coming out in 2024. I don't play a lot of League of Legends. I've played it in and out, so I'm not entirely familiar like with the story and everything. But I mean, this looks somewhat interesting. What did you think of this game?
Yeah, it looked cozy. It looked like, as far as aesthetics, it looked like right up my alley. Was it Arcane? Was the anime that came
On
or
Netflix?
the animated show? Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah.
I haven't played any League of Legends before, but that show sucked me into the lore of League of Legends. I'm like, oh, like League of Legends seems like I'm into this universe now. This pixel art crafting RPG. I'm like, okay, yeah, this sounds like something that could be, my speed. I crafting RPG sounds like Stardew Valley to me. So,
Yeah.
and I thought it looked good. And then,
And that wasn't
they
the
also,
only League of Legends thing. They also
yeah,
had Son of Nunu coming out in November, and this is like a wintry League of Legends third person story adventure thing. And it kind of caught me off guard. I don't know if I should be interested in it or not. I'm kind of stuck in the
yeah,
middle. What do you think?
yeah. It's interesting to see that what Riot's doing with the League of Legends lore, and I honestly like they're doing things that I'm like I want a lot of people to, or a lot of devs, a lot of publishers with some like interesting IP to
Mhm.
do this
To
type
branch
of
out
thing,
and
right?
experiment and do these different types of games. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're seeing more of that, right? Like I think what's this called? The metaverse or whatever, where like they're just kind of or they're verses,
Yeah.
something verse. Like we got the Witcher verse, we got the
Yeah.
all that stuff. But and Nintendo is branching out with like movies and stuff now. So I but like I like this idea of taking IP and then like making different types of video games. I'd love to see more with like say Zelda. Get like let's get some more like a Chic game and let's
Hmm.
get
There's so
some kind
much
of
there to dive into in the Zelda world.
right.
Yeah.
Give me a Beetle meets Moon.
It's a lot of
What's the one where
That's a lot of risk, though, man.
it is,
Yeah.
I suppose, but like I don't know, just you throw it out there for kind of something spin. I mean, and Nintendo does that some with Mario, right? Like they've got
Yeah.
the Peach, they've got they've got all these different things. I just love to see more of that for the IP that I love. I want to see
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's a fair ask. If you're listening to the show, let us know in the comments what type of universe or lores that you want to see expanded on in different types of games, and maybe it lines up with some of ours. So the next one they had,
Yeah, I think that'd be a.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I gotta plug your Discord again, but I think that'd be a good. We'll throw that in as a topic in the Discord
yeah, it's a good idea.
for sure.
We'll post that up. So next up, they had WarioWare Move It coming out in November. I mean, WarioWares are always cool, so I'm interested in this. I'm not going to rush out to buy it, but it's wacky fun, usually. So same feeling for you.
Yeah. I'm curious if my son would love this or get incredibly frustrated with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. After this, they had Euden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This is in April 23 of next year. And it's a 2D HD Suikoden spiritual successor. Is this catching you, hooking you in, or no?
Oh yeah, this is the 2D HD, right? Like what is Square, but this had the 2D HD look. Man, that is like pixel art at its peak to me, and it really not nails the aesthetic for me, and yeah, I'm into it. This is the most, I think probably the most appealing one to me, and there were a few that were
Yeah.
out of this
Yeah, and it looks pretty
direct,
awesome, to be honest. So I'll definitely look
yeah.
forward to that. Eastward Octopia. I have no major opinion on this. Comes out holiday 23, but this is an expansion to the current Eastward game, and I know you definitely have thoughts because you've played Eastward. So
Oh yeah,
what are you thinking here? What is this, and what are you thinking?
I love Eastward. What I've played so far, I will finish. I'll beat the base game here at some point. And it came up, and I just bring up my son again, but he's just like, "Dad, we have this game. We love this game. We know this game."
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
so like that was cool, but I'm just like, I don't know. I've got Stardew Valley. I don't know that I need to play Stardew Valley in Eastward. So
And so that's what this
it's a
expansion looked like to you. Is kind of like a farming type thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It looked very much like that. Like it was just like, oh, do some of these things like crafting and manage a storefront or something like that. And then like also you saw them like dealing with crops and stuff, and I was just like, I mean, cool, maybe. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a great implementation of it, but man, it's hard to top Stardew Valley, and it's just like if I'm gonna do that in a game like this, it already kind of has a similar look, right? And it's just like Stardew Valley just does it. So to me, it's done. They've done it better than anybody so far. So, I haven't tried most of those games, but I guess based on reviews and things like that, it's just like Stardew Valley clone, and just I'll play just Stardew Valley.
Right. Yeah. DLC didn't hook me in here much, but I also haven't played the base game. It is installed on my Xbox through Game Pass,
It's
so
good. The game is good.
I'll try it out. If you're a listener to the show and you're mad at me for this, sorry. But if you have thoughts and you feel like Evan does and you love this game, shout out and let us know. After this was Wargroove 2, and this is coming out in October of this year, and it's a console exclusive. I'll go to you first. I do have thoughts on this game. What's your quick reaction to this?
Yeah, so it's interesting that it's a console exclusive when we have like Advance Wars.
Yeah.
And so Advance Wars just sold. Didn't sell very well for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, this game right now is I think like $16 you can pre-order it for, as opposed to $60 that
Right.
Advance Wars collection is. So I don't know that I could justify buying Advance Wars when 90% of the experience exists for a fraction of the price.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's my thought.
On my side, I was so excited when the first Wargroove came out because we had no Advance Wars for a long time, right? And we didn't know a new thing was coming out. So I bought Wargroove and I was let down. It just did not do the things that Advance Wars did, and if it did, it wasn't as good. And I felt there was a lot of tutorial and hand holding and kind of lame dialogue. And I was like, I just want Advance Wars. And then they came out with the Advance Wars collection, which I haven't jumped into yet because I've already played those games. Like it was a little hard for me to go back to it, especially at that price point, right? One. Yeah, I want a new one.
Probably not gonna get it after that.
Yeah, exactly. So this Wargroove 2, I'm like, okay, cool, something new. Maybe they learned from the last time, so I'm definitely keeping my eye on this. I love this type of game. I played the heck out of all the Advance Wars games, so I'll watch this one, see the reviews, and see some more gameplay footage. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have hopes after, or you just have, or I wasn't sure if you had no hopes after that first one. You're like, I don't want to see this. I want to see somebody else do it. But you do have hopes that they've learned from.
Yeah, I
and
do.
Improved.
Yeah, I hope they do. And I honestly didn't think there was going to be a second one, so I was kind of like pleasantly surprised when I saw this on here. So yeah, I'm ready to give it a shot.
Is this comparable? You played Into the Breach too and loved Into the Breach.
Yeah.
Is this comparable to that kind of gameplay?
It's somewhat similar. Into the Breach is more simplified in a way. You're more limited in your options, right? And that's by design, right? They limit your options. It's a very tight
package. It streamlines to the combat experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a little more open. This is more akin to the Advance Wars. So after that, they had Dave the Diver. This was really exciting, I thought, coming out at the end of October. This is a timed exclusive for consoles. This is, of course, the hit indie game that's already on PC that has been raved about over the past few months. You're basically diving under the ocean. You're catching fish. You're taking them up to make them in a restaurant, sushi, whatever. And that's kind of the gameplay loop, right? And it's got nothing but rave reviews. What'd you think about seeing Dave the Diver coming to Nintendo Switch as a timed exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm thinking about this game where you're a fisherman and that runs a fisherman by day that runs a sushi restaurant by night," you're like, "Oh, that's obviously $1 million idea," right? No, but honestly, this thing seems to be getting like rave, like everybody's loving this on PC. It looks like it has a lot of charm. Looks like it's a really fun game. It looks like there's like a lot of depth to it. Almost, I don't know why Stardew Valley kind of, I'm gonna, maybe it's because I've just been thinking about Stardew Valley, but it kind of has, like it could have that kind of booming success where there's just that much depth to it, right? While also being like just having the hook.
Yeah.
I'm very, 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 very interested in Dave the Diver if I find the time to dive into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So looking forward to this. Now the question for you is, it's already on PC. You have the Steam Deck. Do you just wait and get it on a sale on Steam Deck? The price will ultimately probably be lower on that versus the Switch, or do you play it on the Switch?
I mean, probably wherever it's cheapest. I tend to like playing on the Switch for whatever reason more. Probably because I've got that OLED and it's the OLED
it looks
screen
great,
is
right?
so much nicer.
And this game would look really good,
especially for an indie game, right? Like Steam gives me better performance, but the OLED gives me better visuals as long as the performance, as long as it's not too taxing on the hardware.
Right.
So, this doesn't look like it's going to be taxing on any hardware. So,
so your platform of choice for this is probably Switch, depending on the price.
Yeah. If the price is close, and sometimes you see a little bit of a Switch tax, but oftentimes there's a lot of sales on the eShop for like these indies and stuff that come out. So we'll see.
Okay, and then they hit us with a DLC, the final wave. They did say final of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. This is Wave 6 coming out this holiday. There's a new track, so that's the Daisy Circuit track from Mario Kart Wii. And then they added some new characters, Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, and then Pauline and Peachette from the Mario Kart Tour mobile game. What's your thoughts on the final wave here? And maybe after that, give me your thoughts on it being the final wave and what that means for Mario Kart going forward.
So I think it's a brand new track, and then also the Daisy Circuit track.
Oh, okay, Mario cool. Kart yep.
If I understood correctly.
Yep.
But yeah, has Peachette existed anywhere before? I don't know. I was surprised to see Peachette. Oh, I guess she has because she's in
Mario Kart
Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really played any Mario Kart Tour. So,
yeah, me either.
No, I'm just excited to finally have some Diddy Kong racing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've played most of the other DLC waves. They're great. I really enjoyed the new tracks. I mean, Mario Kart 8 is it's kind of the penultimate. It's the
gift that keeps on giving.
It really is. And I mean, we want Mario Kart 9, but like, as far as like what this Mario Kart 8 experience offers, like Mario Kart 9 doesn't need to be any kind of like, it doesn't need to iterate on what Mario Kart 8 offers. I think it just needs to reinvent Mario Kart. Give us a brand new experience. Just because they're like, Mario Kart 8 does it. Mario Kart 8 is at its best. I kind of feel the same way, right, with Smash Ultimate, right? Like it's
the penultimate version, right? It's like all these things and lessons we've learned. Here's the ultimate package, Mario Kart 8.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So they need to come out with the next one and do something like akin to what Double Dash did, and like some big change, right?
Give me Double Dash too. That would be really. I didn't play very much of Double Dash at all, so I would love to revisit that as a gameplay and just something fresh and new, or at least something we haven't had in like 20 years or whatever. So
right, and so is Mario Kart 9 actually Mario Kart Tour, and is the next one going to be Mario Kart 10?
All right, Spawn Wave,
or is it like 7, 8, 9? So now you go straight to 10. There's other companies that have done that. There was no iPhone 9, right?
That's true. People hate the number 9 for whatever reason. Yeah. There's no Windows 9, right? There was one from Windows 8 to Windows 10.
Yeah.
But
the game they showed after this was Among Us, a new map, Fungal.
Welcome to the fungal.
Yeah, welcome to the Fungal. It's coming out in October. Look, I played Among Us. It's fun. I think it depends on the group you have and the people you get together. It's more about like playing together in these crazy moments and getting each other to believe each other and that type of thing. So this is cool for Among Us fans. I'm not a big fan. How about you?
I've never played. It looks interesting to me, but like I've just never had like the pull to play. Because like I said, you want to play with people,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just never like been in the time and place or whatever where it's just like, hey, let's play Among Us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the
But
final.
then this was followed by Sizzle Reel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
With a bunch of games in here that are already announced and stuff. And then
Yeah,
what
then
was the last one?
the final drop was Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remaster coming out next year. This was a pretty good mic drop. Again, not a new game, another remaster, remake port. A lot of those in this direct, but this is a good mic drop, I think, for them on this event. What'd you think when you saw this game? Have you played Paper Mario before? Have you played The Thousand Year Door?
Yeah, I played like 20 minutes of the Thousand Year Door, and then it was just kind of like, this is for me. I don't know if it was the timing that I played it. I think it was like you and I like split went halvesies in on a collection of GameCube games in college, and this was one that I got out of that. And I popped it in, played it for a little bit, and then I don't know. I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna jump into something else. I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know fully what it was. Paper Mario never really appealed to me, but like I'm looking at this and people love this game, right? So really the two best Mario RPGs are widely considered the two best Mario RPGs are Super Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door. We saw both of these in this direct, and we
Yeah,
got them, or we're getting them within a year, right? So
yeah.
that's man, that's pretty cool. I might have to jump into it.
I'm definitely interested in picking
Yeah,
this up as well. And I do think, to your point, it's
it looked good.
very cool for fans, right? That have been waiting a long
Yeah,
time for these, and they've got them back now. Um, yeah, it looked
visually,
visually
it
looked
looked
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I've played this one. I've played the original Paper Mario. I would happily jump back into this and play it, and I'll be looking forward to it next year. Again, I think I'm gonna pick some of these games up on that Nintendo voucher program, man. You get some
yeah,
eShop credit really cheap. You buy the vouchers and you get two games. Hey, there you go. Good deal.
yeah, for sure.
So that was the Nintendo Direct event. What were your thoughts on the Direct? I think it was jam packed for 40 minutes, but did they show enough? What is of what they showed? What does that tell you about their long term strategy? And we just recently talked about the Switch 2 or the Super Nintendo Switch or whatever it may be called potentially coming out next year. How does this allude to that, or maybe it doesn't? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, there were no major AAA games show right for a first party at least, or really any at all. I don't think in this direct,
Mm-hmm.
it was loaded. It was packed with games, and honestly, some great looking games. But it was all like double A, which
Mm-hmm.
double A indie games and stuff. Which I mean, we love a lot of different. You can find a lot of great games at those that size, and honestly, they can be a lot more consumable, right? Okay, here's a 20 hour game, right? At
Mm-hmm.
50 or 60 bucks is that I guess 60 bucks is the new 50 bucks, but or 40 or 50 bucks, but you know yeah, so that was really cool, and it felt like there was a little bit of something for everyone, unless all you're looking for is AAA. But to me, this says that all the AAA devs in Nintendo right now are working on some other console, and so
So they holding
that to
stuff
me,
back, you think? They're holding titles back
uh,
that are ready?
Ab- absolutely. I think so. You want to see something like the Zelda remasters from the Wii U, the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker
Yeah.
are done, ready to go, and they're just sitting there. Obviously, like you're a few months removed from Tears of the Kingdom release, so that was just this was not the time slot for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we see those in like a January, February, March direct. We'll see what Nintendo's schedule looks like as far as directs and everything next year because we all expect hardware to be shown.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then I think oh man, what were we talking about?
Yep, I'll cut this part. So
Yep.
if the Super Switch is coming out next year, and we talked about launch titles a little bit before, so you're thinking with the Zelda remakes, the Twilight Princess and the Wind Waker one come launch with that? Because they're not going to have the
I don't
next
know.
Zelda game ready yet. So maybe that's they
Yeah,
launched that. They
yeah,
announced
for sure.
Metroid
I
Prime
think we
4
get
and
something
some
with Zelda
Mario.
next year. Yeah, I think they're just like, we have these. We'll just release them when it makes sense. And if they have a 2D Zelda or something ready next year, then they just hold it back another year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of expect us to see the remasters next year. I think they'll come to the Switch, and they'll be backwards compatible with. I think I don't know. I don't know. That's hard to tell. I just stinking want them though. I've been wanting them, wanting them, wanting them. I like. But because I haven't played either of those games really, I played I don't know probably 10 hours of Wind Waker and 5 to 10 hours of Wind Waker and like 3 hours of Twilight Princess.
Man, they're both
But
so good.
I one thing I was really missing from this direct, I was hoping we would get a Metroid game.
Mm.
I was hoping we would get one of the I didn't expect to see Metroid Prime 4. I was maybe hoping for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start seeing that they're going to announce that with as a cross gen title, and like that's when we're going to see it again is when it's ready to like come out, because it's been so long. It's like don't tell us something about it, right? Like, but anyway, so I was hoping to see though Metroid 2 Prime 2 remaster, or maybe a combo pack of like Metroid Prime 2 and 3, but get like a shadow drop kind of like we have, but. We didn't see that, and that to me kind of like has me a little concerned with where Metroid Prime 4 is, because I think that's like I was thinking like we might get a cadence of Metroid Prime remaster like when we got that in January or February or whatever it was, and then it's like all right, toward the end of the year we'll get 2 and 3, or even like I thought like maybe we'll get 2 in summer and 3 at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and then boom, the spring of or early 2024 we get Metroid Prime 4.
You're expecting
thinking
rhyme and reason from Nintendo when they don't do that.
Yeah,
They march to the beat of their own drum.
Yeah, right. But we didn't get that, so that's fine. I really think Prime 4 is going to be a cross-gen release, because I think they've got to release it on the Switch, because they said it's coming to the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Like they announced it like when the first E3 after the Switch came out, I think, and obviously they went back to the drawing board and moved from Bandai to Retro, but
I mean, that's got to tell you that there's probably backwards compat, right? Maybe not physical cartridges per se, and that may still be up in the air, but the fact that they said, hey, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a Switch game. At this point, we've got this direct today that showed a lot of remakes, remasters, ports, nothing new, no heavy hitters. Tells me they're saving them for the next console. Metroid 4 would be one of those, but they already committed to it being on the Switch, so they're going to have to do what you said, cross-gen release on both, and I think that alludes to the backwards compat of this next console. And we'll have to see what happens early next year. I know that March month is getting tossed around as either announcement or release. I think release is way too soon, as much as I'd love to see it. But there's crazier things have happened, especially with Nintendo. But maybe as we get closer to there, we're gonna find some more out about. It's
making me feel good about my my July prediction, right?
Yeah, that's March announcement, July release. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so sick. But I'm gonna pick out something you mentioned there. So, do you think there's a world that Nintendo does backwards compatibility, but not with physical carts? That they only do digital?
Oh, man. Yes. Just because they do weird things. They do weird consumer, not so friendly things sometimes. Not in a malicious way, but they just do things that don't make sense. Like, why would you do that? And they're just like, we're
almost
Nintendo.
Naive, right?
Yeah, naive. Yeah, it's like you haven't seen the gaming industry and how they do things the past 2 decades. Like, do you not get the notes or what?
Yeah, that sounds like a anti-consumer move in a way of technical progress, technological progress. That to me, I absolutely think there's no world Nintendo says, hey, if you bought digitally, right, you can keep these games. But if you bought it physically, well, screw you. Because you're not the only one that shares the sentiment that they could do this digital only thing. I don't think there's a world. It's going to be, like, I mean, my prediction is it's going to be like the DS to the 3DS, right? Like that cartridge slot's maybe a little bit wider, has a little bit of a notch, or like the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, right? Yeah. Like the carts just fit maybe a little bit differently, so you can't fit the new carts into the old system, but you can fit the old carts in the new system.
Would they release an adapter with it, you think? Where it's like, hey, here's a little adapter for your games, plug them in. I mean, or they just build it in?
Maybe they just have to. I think it just like either fits in the slot like I said, like DS games fit into the 3DS slot, or if somehow they just completely change the media or don't offer it at all. I don't think they go digital only, but I would think they go digital only and have a Switch cart slot for previous gen. Before they would go, you can only play your digital games. um,
Right.
but I don't think it will go digital only. But yeah, I think like the Game Boy Advance slot on the original DS, right? Like that would be. But I don't. I think the form factor is something that they'll fit the current Switch carts into the new slot.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, listeners, followers, viewers, jump on the Discord or into the comments and let us know what you think about this and who you side with. Is it going to be digital only like I'm thinking, or will you get a physical based backwards compat like Evan's thinking here? And Evan, I want to jump over to kind of a closing question for today. Who had the stronger event on the same day, just like last year? Sony with their State of Play or Nintendo with their Direct? Who had the stronger event? And then I'll ask a follow-on question after that.
Man, Nintendo is rolling into the sunset stronger than PlayStation at what should be their peak.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we didn't see any like big AAA games from Nintendo today, but we saw first off a ton of content, a ton of games. Either first party, we saw console exclusives, we saw timed exclusives. I mean, Nintendo was loaded with a direct, which that will what I think a lot of people are thinking, and I certainly think is going to be the last Switch only direct.
Mm.
I think our next direct is maybe they squeeze one more in or like a mini direct or an indie showcase or something like that, maybe. But I think the next direct we see is going to be with new hardware
Mm.
after the turn of the year.
Wow.
So to see that, like, I've got concerns. The games that they showed, the like 5 games they showed at that direct or the State of Play today, there were some games that looked great, but games we kind of already knew about, and we just don't know what's coming from first party studios.
Yeah, totally. So you're definitively saying Nintendo had the stronger event today.
Absolutely.
I will say the same thing. Sony's event felt very weak. To your point, they should be coming out swinging. They should be right in their prime right now. We should know all these games coming out. It seems like there's no progress. Or there's been changes in a lot of them, and maybe they just don't want to show them until they're basically ready, right? But it's a red flag to me that you have almost nothing to show. They had what I say 7 or 9 things for their
Yeah.
State of Play. Like, come on, and like half of them we already knew about. Now the Nintendo Direct, I felt was a much stronger event, but also a lot of remakes, remasters, and ports. So it was quote unquote weak in that regard. Where's the new titles? But we both understand, and most of the audience understands, we're in basically year 7 or so of the Switch life, and we got this new console coming. So this is kind of the sunset, as you said, for the Switch. And I hadn't really thought about that. This is the last Switch focused direct, or could be. And I would probably agree with that. I was a little, I don't want to say let down by the Nintendo Direct, but I'm like, oh, yeah, it's kind of what I expected. Like, nothing
Yeah.
spectacular, but some pretty good stuff. But they showed up. They put out 40 minutes of games. It was like a game a minute or something like that,
And it was game after game after game.
Yeah, so they were just swinging and swinging and swinging. Meanwhile, Sony's huffing and puffing over there, man. So I don't know what Sony's doing as a company. I think they're making some missteps after being the titan of the industry for a while. And I'm really curious to see what happens in the industry if we get a big shakeup, if Nintendo comes out with this next platform and it's power wise, graphically, comparing somewhat to the current gen
Yeah.
consoles. What happens then? Sony's misstepping. Xbox is getting this awesome acquisition. Their Game Pass is flourishing or starting to. Got this awesome Starfield release, and Nintendo's coming in and wedging themselves right in between that, and maybe leapfrogging, at least for the moment, Sony if people thought they were behind them. So, do you share the same feelings, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think we've got ABK hopefully coming or soon.
Yeah.
October 18th, I think was the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So we should know about that soon. We've got But we've got a lot of games down the pipe from Xbox. We're expecting several next year. We're expecting several in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do a big game a quarter. Or at least a significant first party release every quarter. And when we get like Fable, right? If that comes out and that hits,
Mm-hmm.
like I think that's the next like huge game, like Starfield level game,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're expecting. I think Hellblade comes out and that should be a hit. Like hopefully, for as the Xbox fan, as the Xbox owner, you want it to be a good game, and really just as a gamer as a whole, you want games to be good.
Yeah.
But and you want the competition to be balanced. And if we live in a world where it's like 33 33 33 split between the big three there, that's probably the best for the gamers, because that means that each one of these companies is trying, they're
Trying
trying
its
their hardest to
best.
get that,
Yep.
yeah,
To
to
compete.
get that edge, right, to get that upper hand. Whereas you don't, if Sony might not be as comfortable and as where they are, and quiet as they are right now, like with their games, if their gap's a little narrowed, right? Maybe they've gotten a little cocky, or they, I don't know, they just seem like there's some concerns there for me.
Yeah.
But hopefully at the very least that balances, right? Because I think Xbox has some hits coming down the pipe. Hopefully we see more Starfields and fewer Redfalls.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So. All right, well, I'm going to jump over and we'll close out the show. That concludes the episode, guys. That was episode 5. Thank you for listening to Remote Play. Be sure to leave us a like and subscribe to the show if you like the content. Don't forget, you can hop on our Discord or tag us in the socials to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep gaming.